Hey, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. You know this is the official podcast of GeoWoodstock 18 right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific, and I'm Chris of the Northwest, and we're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the world. So while your kids are already planning the summer for you, we'll be caching in the Northwest. Now, before we get going too far, I just want to say our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and the families in Texas. And I just want to leave it at that. Now, tonight we are talking with Stephen Hui. He's a friend of the show and author of several hiking books, including a brand new one we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. So stay tuned. As always, live audience, share your thoughts with us. Now, before we go any farther, it's time to bring in our hiking howler monkey. Some say he has the perfect wardrobe for radio. And others say, like IKEA furniture, he's barely holding it together. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
And also, like IKEA furniture, some assembly is required and you always get extra parts. Maybe you don't want to hear about the extra parts. All right.
We don't want to hear about your extra parts.
What we do want to hear about is we want to hear from Stephen. Stephen, welcome back to the podcast, man.
Hey, great to be back.
Good to have you back. We're very excited to talk about the new book. And we'll get into all that in a few moments. We got a few other stuff that we'll go through as we normally do. And Stephen, you watch the podcast, you know the routine.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, good to have you here. Before we get into any and all of that, now I just have to laugh for a moment because I've been rearranging my studio and I went to go hit the button on the Stream Deck and it's not where it normally is. So
muscle memory is strong, is it not?
Right? No kidding. All right. Well, I'm going to push the button over here instead because I'm going to throw out a quick reminder that we appreciate the support of our patrons who help to keep this podcast coming each and every week. And a thanks to Land Sharks, one of our corporate Denali level sponsors. And Land Sharks said, hey, use our spot tonight to remind people the time is ticking away. It is until May 31st to get your GeoWoodstock registration in. I think a lot of people have been doing it. We really appreciate it. It makes the event possible. Can you imagine trying to plan an event through COVID and having to change it like 3 or 4 times? Yeah. Anyways, so thanks to Land Sharks for using their spot to remind folks that they've got till May 31st for GeoWoodstock registration. And just in general, if you haven't volunteered yet for GeoWoodstock, and even if you don't live in the area, we can use all the volunteers we can get. So that all said, check them out, landsharkswithaz.ca, and our other corporate Denali level sponsor. Well, also going to be at GeoWoodstock, that is Gold Country Geotourism. And hey, keep your eye on Gold Country's social media because not only are they always doing cool stuff there and showing you around the beautiful areas of Gold Country, but they've got some cool announcements coming up soon. So if you're not following them on socials, well, maybe there's a problem with the way you're using social media. All right. Anyways, so
Are you saying I have a problem with social media?
I'm saying you've got a lot of problems and you're going to tell us about them.
Oh, you better believe it. But before I do that, it's time to talk about the glow. You may ask, what is the glow? Why, it's the geocaching log of the week. You guys didn't ask. You were supposed to ask.
I was busy trying to remember where my Stream Deck console was.
Whether you wrote it or whether you read it, we want to hear about it because great logs simply make geocaching better. You can send an email or an audio recording to feedback@cachingnw.com. You can call into 253-693-TFTC and just show us how you glow.
Well, tonight I get to be Jim. So I have not pre-read this glow. I am going to do it cold read Jim style. Let's see how this goes, folks. At least I'm not going to do it all in one breath. So there won't be that level of epic fail. All right. Well, the glow tonight comes from, here's one that Piffle Bear and Limax found on Big Blue Switch Day. Yes, they put the big in there. I love it. We had, for those who might have missed it, there was a lot of discussion of whether the word big actually belonged in there or not. So once again, I get my way. All right. Check out geocache major system. So the geocache is called Major System. It's a GC code GC8 Zulu 5 Juliet
November.
November. Thank you. I was going to say North. I thought, no, that's not right, but it's very geocachy. All right. My log is, well, that's what they're saying. Their log is spotted this puzzle recently and sent it off to Piffle Bear, who solved it quickly. I finally had time to sit down and solve it. Made some minor mistakes due to skimming, but I eventually had the correct coordinates. Upon arriving at ground zero today, as I'm looking somewhere else, Piffle Bear asked me if I had a pen. Well, she's already found it, and then she hid it again, so I'd have to find it as well. Way to go, Piffle Bear. I like the way you play the game. All right. Goes on to say, really like the puzzle. It reminds me of the method Dr. Arthur Benjamin uses to remember numbers when squaring 5-digit numbers in his head. That sounds like a recipe for Tylenol. All right. For all I know, it could be the same method. Thanks from Limax. Thank you very much, Limax, for sending that in. And man, I don't even want to think about squaring 5-digit numbers in my head.
Well, that's what I was listening to when you came in, Land Monkey, before the
Oh,
show.
okay. That was
I like,
Dr. Arthur Benjamin who
yeah,
you were playing there?
he's he's I'll hold it. He's a mathematician. There it is.
Okay. I think anybody who can do any level of math beyond plus and minus is a mathematician. So I'll just park that there.
Yeah. Doing math in your head, that's impressive. I mean, doing some of this high level math in your head is impressive. Hey, what else is impressive is
Authors.
authors is also the input from our listening audience. So if you want to join into tonight's chat, use the hashtag hike. Let's see, I know that's up here somewhere. Here it is. Use the hashtag hike to join in tonight's show. Of course, you can use the hashtag FATAS to bring up a topic in the after show. And, you know, we can't leave out hashtag podcast baking to tell us what you're cooking tonight.
All right. Stephen, are you cooking anything tonight?
No, but I feel like I should be making one of those freeze-dried meals just for the occasion.
Ooh.
Yes. That would have been perfect. Just have the jet boil going in the background behind you.
Yeah, the long spoon.
The spork. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Stephen, welcome back to the show. It is our delight to have you back on. You had let us know early on that a new book was coming, and we're counting down the days to have you on the podcast to talk about it. So maybe before we jump into the book, let's catch up with you, sir. Other than writing a new book, what have you been up to since we saw you last?
Well, doing a little bit of hiking. Actually, not as much hiking as I would like, but recently got over to Victoria and spent some time in like Beacon Hill Park and other parts of Victoria, and just really loved that park and visiting the peacocks and everything. So that was a nice excursion, kind of before hiking book season got it, went crazy.
Wait, that's an official season?
Yeah, starts the week or two before Victoria Day, the May long weekend up here.
Nice.
It's not duck season. It's not rabbit season.
No.
It's hiking book season.
Yeah.
Too funny.
Well, you are here to talk about the book, so let's jump into that. I think you've got a couple behind you there.
Yeah.
First of all, what's the name of the book? And most importantly, where can people find this book?
Yeah, so it's called Best Hikes and Nature Walks with Kids in and around southwestern British Columbia. Kind of a mouthful. It doesn't even fit on one line. But yeah, you can find it. It's at local bookstores, both in BC and Washington. If you go to 105hikes.com, you can find links. It's also on the major online stores. So it's wherever books are.
Excellent.
Nice.
So it's everywhere. Just look and you'll find it. Is what I'm hearing. That's awesome, man. So this is a little bit of a departure from your previous books. I mean, sort of in the same sphere, but you've gone with a new niche here. What prompted the idea for writing this one?
Yeah, honestly, I always wanted to write a book of short hikes too. So I do a lot of short hikes as well in the off season or just when I'm, kind of lazy. And then, I have a son now, and he just turned 10, and when we're doing hikes, the hikes got a lot shorter, and I thought I was writing a book of 3 to 5 hour hikes, and then I started taking him on hikes and realized no, the hikes are going to be a lot shorter. And so, yeah, he kind of helped me see what kids are into on hikes and that kind of thing. And yeah, it ended up being a lot of fun doing it. And yeah, it just seemed like a good way to go after writing 2 books about longer hikes.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well,
Nice.
we're going to have to ask this next question, Steve,
Mm.
because it's caching in the Northwest. But has there been any geocaching involved in the nature walks and hikes with your son?
Yeah, there's on the Hicks Lake is one of the hikes, and there's tons of geocaches around that lake. And so, yeah, that one was probably the one where I saw the most geocaches. For other hikes, it's more likely to be an accidental geocache find. I was recently up in Kelowna, and yeah, you know, there's a geocache in the open, um, with a whole bunch of wet paper in it and whatnot.
Because
Yeah,
it's the Northwest.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Brian Lang wants to know, did your son get a co-author credit on the book?
He did not, but the book is dedicated to him, so that's second
Oh,
best.
Okay.
that's
Okay.
awesome. Very cool.
Oh, there's one other question from
Yeah.
GSM times 2. Now, this is where we really want you to be honest. Where would Stephen prefer people purchase the book from?
Just your local bookstore. I mean, if you go to my site, there's a shop local link. And for the US, it's the the IndieBound link. So if you click on those, it'll go to a local bookstore, and that's
Nice.
that's the best. Yeah.
Awesome.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So with your best walks and nature hikes with kids, a name like that, we're curious how you conducted research. And tell us a little bit what it was like.
So it's really like it's a book of hikes, or it's a book of introductory hikes. Um, the word nature walks is in there because the publisher put it in there. Uh, because but the thing is, a lot of hikers will see these as nature, some of them as nature walks, but
Okay.
they're all meant to be an intro to hiking for kids. So there's no flat walks on dikes. There's always some uphill or up and down. um, and so, yeah, the research was just, I mean, just the same as same as the other books, just getting out as much as I can, trying hikes and you know making wrong turns and
Mhm.
missing viewpoints, and going back to check and that kind of thing. So, yeah, just but it means that because I've been doing a year and a half or so of a lot of short hikes, I'm in a lot less good shape than I was before.
Aren't
Well,
we all?
that's honest. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I have to ask, what are you using for navigation when you're out and about? Are you using an app for trails or are you using physical maps? What do you prefer?
I definitely like physical maps. I usually have a physical map with me, but I will also use the Gaia app, uh, and
Mhm.
I have a Garmin device as well. But I do love the paper maps, and usually that's enough, and it's always, I don't know, it's just always nice to have that backup in case your phone dies.
Oh, definitely. And I think being able to read a paper map is starting to become a lost art.
Yeah.
So it's really good
Use
that
a compass.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Being able to use a
yeah.
compass and read a map
Yeah, I'm
is
kind of
is
lucky. Yeah,
a difficult thing to do now.
yeah, I'm kind of lucky. I started out with the map, so it's it, it's relatively easy for me. And then also, I was a bit of a latecomer on the GPS. Like I kind of held out, kind of like with CDs. I stuck with cassettes for like a long time, and so yeah, the maps are I'm used to the maps, and plus I love maps, so I have
Yeah,
like a huge stack of them. So
Mhm,
yeah,
I can relate to that for sure.
mhm.
Yeah. There's something about, I don't know, something about maps and map books. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, so Stephen, this isn't your first rodeo when it comes to writing a book about hikes, and so this
so
probably you probably got this banged out in just a few hours. Like, how long did it take you to get from idea to published?
it's kind of a 3 year process.
Mm,
I'd say. Um, so it's yeah, it's a year and a bit of hiking mostly, and then uh, yeah, and then but yeah, it's a 3 year process, and then the writing though I procrastinate, so the writing kind of
Don't we
happens.
all?
Yeah, it kind of
mhm.
happens in like a month, 2 month period, just around deadline. So yeah,
I
but
love
yeah,
your honesty, Stephen.
yeah. So yeah, that's what happens. It's now it's how I do it. So I think that's just how it's gonna be.
Okay.
Mhm.
But because it was the third time, it definitely was easier. At least like I knew what I was doing. I knew what I wanted to do. Yeah, it was at least it was like riding a bike a bit.
Not like riding a bull you didn't have to get back on.
No,
Oh,
That's awesome. Yeah, 3 years. Wow. So that's, I mean, that's a serious time commitment.
yeah,
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
yeah.
so
After a while, it feels like you're just waiting for the thing to come out. Like it's like, oh come on, get this thing, get this thing printed, and then
well,
get it to
because
the store.
you finish your initial part, because I know it's
Yeah,
never really done, but you get it over to the editors,
yeah.
and now you're kind of in hurry up and wait mode, right? Like it's
Yeah, like you get it in, like maybe a year or so before it comes out, basically, and then there's like quite a few rounds of editing, a lot of revising, and then there's making the maps, and then checking the layout, and then they have to print it. Like it's a long process.
Mhm. Well,
wow.
I was gonna ask how much editing and changes did the publisher ask for?
Not too many. My editor there is excellent though. Like she edits. She's edited a whole bunch of hiking guidebooks, and
Mhm.
she knows like all the trails.
Oh,
And
wow.
so yeah, so she's a major hiker, and yeah, she knows everything. So uh, generally, when she suggests a change, I just take it. And but yeah, no, there it wasn't too much because it's my third time now. I kind of have a
Right.
better idea of what I'm doing. Um, and but yeah, they go through the book editing process is like how newspapers used to be edited, with like multiple rounds of editing and then proofreading. Now it's just like straight to web and no editing. But with books, like it's still like there was like two like real edits, and then there's like a copy edit, and then there's a proofreading on the layout. Like it's several rounds of editing. Like it's really rigorous. It's really great.
Wow.
That
That's
is
that's a
yeah,
lot
that's
of work.
that makes it sound like a real job. Yeah, I thought you were just going out for hikes and writing a little bit. This makes it sound like a real job.
There's a difference between blogging and writing a book, I guess, is what we're learning
Oh,
here.
yes. Oh, yes.
Just Carlo had a great question that we wanted to share with you here. Because you were talking about the maps. We were talking about the maps, and he's wondering, does your son share your love for paper maps? Carlo is saying he's trying to teach his kids and admittedly relearning himself.
Yeah, so he's not so into the trail maps. He's into paper transit maps. That's his thing.
Oh,
Hmm.
He's really into transit maps, but I even got him a book of just transit maps. But trail maps, he hasn't got into yet.
there you
We
go.
should introduce him to Subway Mark.
Subway Mark. Yeah, I was just thinking that as Stephen was saying that. Stephen, so about the book, so we've gotten through the process of researching and writing and a year of editing. It's published, it's out there. You're going to book signings. If someone gets the book in their hands, what key things should a reader know to make their experience with your book even better when they go to read it and then use the information that's within it?
I mean, it's kind of. I would, if you got kids, start with the green hikes, start with the beginner ones, and work up, because that way you're starting with the easy ones and seeing how they, because you never know, like kids of different ages have different abilities and whatnot. You can't go by age, and
Right.
there's charts in the book like showing what kind of features there are, or the hikes are ordered by distance or elevation gain, and there's a list of like best hikes for say waterfalls or suspension bridges, that kind of thing. So that'll help you pick, a hike. And yeah, I mean, just it's interesting because I've quite a few people have showed the book to their kids, and the kids actually flip through the book, which is interesting. And so yeah, maybe just put it in front of your kid and see where they flip to.
See where they land and go,
Yeah,
okay, we'll go do that hike.
yeah,
And then go take them there so they can experience
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, what are some of your tips for hiking with kids?
Ah, well, the main thing is, like I said, choose the right trail. So start easy.
Mhm.
You pick something that appeals to their interest. Suspension bridges, hollow trees, big trees. My son loves the big old growth, thick trees. Calls them grandpa trees. And there's like he likes trains, so hikes that go near train tracks or whatever. There's beaver lodges, and for some reason like kids love water features, right? Waterfalls,
Mhm.
uh, creeks, uh, anything with water that we could splash on, icicles. Um, so plenty of that, and just yeah, I mean, but the other thing is to this, slow down and take it
Mhm.
easy. You're not necessarily going to get to the turquoise lake at the end. You're just be
This isn't
okay.
about the Instagram moment. Yeah.
Yeah, just be
Yeah.
okay. Just slow down and enjoy it. Enjoy looking at slugs and spider webs, and
Mhm.
yeah, don't worry about it.
Nice.
Very cool.
Brian Lang says kids love anywhere they can throw rocks or sticks in the water. I'm
Especially when it's
I'm just a big
frozen.
kid
Yeah,
when it comes to that. Yeah.
it's true. Especially when it's like a frozen lake. Yeah, it's something they love about throwing rocks and sticks on frozen lakes.
Watching them bounce and skid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I love the sound of throwing a rock on a frozen lake.
yeah.
Mm,
There's a pretty interesting sound. Yeah.
Mhm.
that's true. Um, it- I want to maybe just riff a little bit more, Stephen, off of we were talking about, opening the book, and you're talking about kids are thumbing through it, and parents can pick a trail out of there to try. But there's something I think really cool that you've done with the book, and you kind of mentioned it, but I want to hone in on it a little bit more with you. And it's like there's a classification system or systems that you have for the trails to help people kind of just go, okay, today we want this kind of experience. So, can you explain how that works in the book?
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's the difficulty ratings and the quality ratings. So the difficulty rating, there's a beginner, intermediate, challenging, and then so that takes into account elevation gain, the kind of the condition of the trail, how rough it is, that kind of thing, and then the quality rating is kind of based on fun factor, so it's a little different than the ratings in my other books. It takes into account how many like fun and entertaining features there are and that kind of thing. Um, and then yeah, there's that chart that has best hikes for big trees, best hikes for waterfalls and that kind of thing. So yeah, that'll help you pick. Um, and then yeah, I mean the other thing is that the book has kind of some fun facts about things that are on the trails, and there's also a field guide in the back to select plants, animals, and fungi uh, that I put in there that you can kind of use as a scavenger hunt.
Cool. So, like
Nice.
the ability to take the book with you on the trail and use that field guide part at the back to,
Yeah.
as you say, do like a scavenger hunt. Like say, okay, we're looking for a plant or something that looks like this, and then
Yeah, like the book doesn't weigh that much. You can take it with you. Uh,
just not the hardcover version.
Right. Yeah, I wish there was a hardcover. That'd be cool. But yeah, I mean, if it's too heavy for you, there's an ebook version. But yeah, no, it's the other thing is that with the wildlife pictures in my other books, like especially the first one where I put wildlife photos kind of in the book, they've people have kind of complained, like why didn't you put a picture of the view? Why is there a picture of a starfish? Um, and, I like the wildlife shots. So uh, this one, I could have a section of just wildlife photos in the back, and no one's going to complain that I'm not showing them the view.
Nice. Stephen, maybe you already covered this when you're talking about the way the trails are classified in the book, but what's the what's the maximum length of trail that you've included in the book?
I think what I've done is they're kind of around 2 to 10 or 12 kilometers. There's one longer than that, but that's the general idea. The other thing is I don't give time estimates in the book because with kids they're all over the place, and you might not. The idea is you might not you know finish the hike anyway. So yeah, they're kind of I think 2 to 12 kilometers.
Okay. Yeah, Dora Moore was
Yeah.
asking almost the same question. I guess great minds think alike and fools seldom differ. But she's additionally asked, generally speaking, what ages is the book geared for?
Yeah, so actually, this is the longest hike in the book, Fisherman's Trail, and it looks like it's 16 kilometers.
That's up on the North
Yeah,
Shore, right?
yeah,
Fisherman's Trail?
16 kilometers in North Vancouver. And so the book is geared toward 4 to 11 years old.
Okay.
Um, yeah, the trails are not because they're hikes and they have rough surfaces. They're generally not stroller friendly. Um,
Mhm.
uh, and if you're really toddling, a lot of them are not so great for that either.
Right.
That's put them in the backpack carrier type thing. But yeah, it's kind of aimed at 4 to 11. But really, I mean, of course, the hikes are good for teens, and they're great for the book is not just for kids. Like it's angled at kids, but the trails are not just for kids, obviously, and these trails are not in my other book, so
No?
it's for adults. It's just a book of short hikes they might want to do after work or just when they want something shorter.
Mhm. Or an
Nice.
introduction to hiking.
Yeah, exactly. For beginner hikers,
Yeah.
definitely, some seniors have pointed out to me that it's a good book for
Oh,
seniors as well.
yeah.
Yeah. Hadn't thought about that angle. It makes a lot of
Oh, I like
sense.
that. Yeah. Now, Stephen, you said the book isn't that heavy and you should be able to carry it, but I have to ask, uh, how has your pack changed now that you're hiking with kids?
Oh,
And do
yeah.
they carry their own pack as well?
Uh, my son will sometimes carry a pack, but it's not going to have much more than a stuffed animal and fishy crackers in it. So yeah, you're going to end up carrying their stuff, and even if they're carrying a bag, you got to be prepared to carry their stuff. So yeah, and it's yeah, I'm carrying clothes for him as well, and trying stuff for both of us. So yeah, you are carrying a little more, but the hikes we do are pretty short, so I'm not carrying a ton.
Okay. So you're carrying, yeah, clothes for you and for your son,
Yeah,
water, food,
yeah,
and I have to ask, you're taking, the 3 T's and the 10 essentials?
yeah. Definitely trying to take most of the essentials. And well, there's one time he fell right when we got to the park, and then I realized I didn't have any band-aids. So I
Oh,
just, stayed calm and was like, "Oh, we'll just go wash it off in the creek,
There you
just like
go.
it's normal." And then, yeah, that was fine. But yeah, once I forgot the diapers when he was younger, and that was that was that was not good. I never did that again.
this kind of mistake you only make once.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
I I don't wanna be a downer. I just heard this week of a hiker who was hiking in the snow. It was only a mile from his car, so it wasn't a long hike, but he fell through a spot in the snow
Oh, yeah.
and broke his ankle. And
Oh,
he realized there's no way I'm gonna crawl a mile in the snow to get back to the car.
Yeah.
But he had everything he needed with him to, set up and have a small shelter, set a fire. Somebody came by in the morning and looks and goes, "You look like you need help."
Oh,
And
amazing.
actually helped, carry him back out to his car. So having that with you, even on a short hike, is utterly essential. You
Yeah.
cannot take a hike without having your safety gear with you.
Yeah. And there a lot of these things are quite light, you can carry a,
Mhm.
emergency blanket, which is
Right.
so light, but it'll, you know, really heat you up, that's
And it can be a shelter to keep you dry.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot of use for it. Wet Coaster says, "No diaper, time to look for the big leaf maple."
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. The maple leaf also works well when you've run out of toilet paper. I can
Yes.
That
tell
is
I can
true.
tell you that.
Yeah. Not the stinging nettle, though.
No.
No, see, that's where you need the guide in the back of the book to know what
There you go.
leaf you're looking for.
Or what you really have to watch out for is the Devil's Club, which looks like a maple leaf, but does not feel like a maple leaf.
That's
If
right.
you have to, you can also use the book as toilet paper.
Not recommended, but in an
Well,
emergency
at
situation.
which point you'll buy another copy.
Yeah, yeah. Because it saved it, yeah, saved you from, well, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, too funny, Stephen.
Oh, that is
Um,
fun.
so question, we were talking about the 10 essentials and hiking safety and such. Stephen, did you do any interaction or collaboration with any of the SAR groups or Adventure Smart or anybody in compiling the book?
Not specifically. Of course, I consulted their information, and Adventure Smart uh, came out to participated in my book launch, which was great, and did
Nice.
a Adventure Smart volunteer did a great presentation about their Hug a Tree and Survive program, which is geared at kids.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
they're just saying, if you get if you, one of the things is if you get lost, just to stay where you are, basically, for the kid. So that was great. So yeah, I mean, Adventure Smart has a lot of great info. And uh, have you seen their new series of videos about the different trails? Like, it's a
Well,
great,
as it happens,
yeah.
they're coming on in a couple of weeks to talk about exactly
uh,
that.
yeah,
So,
they're fantastic videos.
yes, they
You
are.
can kind of binge watch them as a series, and
Mhm.
it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
They're a fantastic group.
why watch
Uh,
Marvel series when you can watch people hiking?
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
so much better.
No,
Okay,
they've done a fantastic job with those. But sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I have a question. Um, and it kind of riffs off of what Land Monkey was just asking. Do you come up with all the hikes that you want to do, or are you asking other people for help as well? I mean,
Uh,
you know, 105 hikes in your last book. That's impressive. I
I
mean,
think
to
he's
be able
done
to
all
do
the
it,
hikes now.
he's
I don't
done them
think there
all.
are anymore.
Well, and then this book has a whole new series of hikes.
yeah.
How are you finding all these?
Oh, honestly, there's so many trails here. Like, you can't run out. Like, there's
Yeah.
105 in the first book, 55 in the second book, and now 55 in this book. And I haven't, like, there's so many hikes that I still haven't done. So many hikes that I would like to write about. It's incredible. Like, there's so many hikes here, and so I'm literally selecting the hikes myself based on hikes I've heard of, or been wanting to do for a long time, or finding out about. Some clubs will tell me what they're working on, or
Mhm.
whatnot. People do suggest hikes, but usually they're suggesting ones I've already done, or know about already. But definitely, I do appreciate people telling me about new trails, or trails they've been building or maintaining, or whatnot, or changes and all that updates. And um but yeah, there's so many hikes. I could uh, I can't run out here.
It's a good point. Yeah, and if you feel like you're starting to run out, just get in the car and go for a short drive and
Yeah.
Find another.
yeah, no kidding. Stephen, we talked about this before, but maybe just a quick reminder for our listeners where they can find the book.
Well, the easiest thing is to go to 105hikes.com, and there's links to a whole bunch of stores, your online retailers that named after a big river in Brazil, and your local bookstores. Definitely support your local bookstores. There's
Yeah,
links. You can click the shop local link or the indie bound link, and that'll take you to your closest, show you the closest bookstores, and even show whether it's in stock and whatnot. So it's pretty easy.
that's pretty cool. Nice. Um, I know you've been very busy. I've been seeing on social media with book signings and public appearances, and you talked about the book launch, the official launch with Adventure Smart and the Hug a Tree. Are there any other signings or public appearances coming up that you'd like our listeners to know about?
Yeah, I'm doing an author talk at the Lynn Valley Library as part of the North Vancouver District Public Library on June 1st. Yeah, June 1st. So that'll be
Less
like
than a
a
week
kind
away.
of presentation and book signing. And then I'm doing a book signing at 32 Books and Gallery in North Vancouver on June 11th.
Excellent. So June 1st, June 11th, both of those on the North Shore. So if
Yeah,
folks want to plan for those and get a chance to meet you and hear about the process, I guess,
yeah, and then go on a hike at the same. Yeah, go on a hike while
Oh,
you're there.
use the book right away. Yeah. Very
oh, I
cool.
like that idea. So
Uh,
you're signing the books and then you're highlighting the hike they should take right after.
that's right. Go
You
take a
step
hike.
out the door and to the left, and here you
Yeah, this looks like the hike for you.
I suggest you maybe start with this one. Yeah. Stephen, you mentioned that sometimes you are getting hikes solicited to you. If people wanted to share ideas of hikes, what's the best way for people to send that info to you?
Well, just go to the website and 105hikes.com, and there's a million ways to contact me on there. You can send it to me via email, WhatsApp, Twitter, whatever. So yeah, always definitely interested in hearing about hikes uh, and also like especially really like hearing about updates to hikes that are already in the books
Mm,
too. If
mhm.
there's been reroutes or trail damage or bridges out or a closure, that kind of thing. I definitely appreciate hearing about that.
For sure.
Good to
Um,
know. We have a question from Monkey Cakes that wants
there
to
you go.
know, is Stephen going to be at Geo Woodstock?
GeoWoodstock's in what, August?
Hmm.
August 13th.
Yeah, I'll probably be head down uh, working on a book that month. So I don't think so. I'm working. I'm going to be starting to work on the second edition of the first book, 105 Hikes. So I'm going to be doing a. I'll pretty much be sequestered that month.
Okay. Wow. Good to know there's another edition of the 105 coming
Yeah.
out. That's excellent.
Yeah, it's probably about a couple years away, in the process. But yeah, that's starting to happen yet.
Excellent. Good for you.
Fantastic.
Um, did we have any other questions from the live audience, Chris?
I don't see any others.
Okay. Oh, well, there's one
Uh,
from Mini Mag. Let's grab
yeah,
that
there
one.
you go. I just saw that.
So Mini
Mini Max
Mag's,
says,
oh, go
oh,
ahead,
go ahead.
Chris. Mini Mag's asking a question. They're wondering about your Idaho knowledge, Stephen. So they're headed to
Yeah,
Idaho this summer and they're looking if you know any good hikes for kids there.
my Idaho knowledge is pretty minimal. I mean, I've been there on the way to Yellowstone.
Mhm.
Well,
So
Brian's
yeah,
going to want to talk to you about that then. Hey,
uh, yeah, no.
but well, so on that idea though, so maybe you Stephen don't know a lot about Idaho, but are there maybe principles in the book that would apply to areas outside of southern BC?
Uh,
The trick question, right?
yeah, I don't know. All I know is there's probably an Idaho guidebook author worth supporting.
There you go. Good answer.
Nice. Here's another great question from just Carlo. that says, other than purchasing the book, how can school programs and or family kid community groups take advantage of this information? You know, maybe a guest appearance or an author talk.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'd love to be in touch with school programs. I'm doing leading a hike for Nature Kids Vancouver in a few weeks, and that's a group that helps families get outside. It's a great little club, and I've done some talks to elementary school classes. You Zoom in, which is kind of fun. They're really fun actually, and it's great. It's great practice for media training and public speaking too, because you realize very quickly the words you're using are too long and the sentences you're using are too long. Um,
As you get the blank stares.
yeah,
Mhm.
no, it's really great. It really helps you, simplify your messages. Um, so yeah, if there are any kids groups out there or school programs, I'd love to be in touch with them and get involved somehow.
Excellent.
Great. And they would go to 105hikes.com to get a hold of you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Stephen, before we wrap up the main part of the show and do our credits and go into the after show, was there anything else about the book or availability on the book that you wanted to share?
Um, just a portion of my royalties are going to the Take a Hike Foundation, which is an organization that has programs in public schools around BC that take at-risk youth and put them in a uh, kind of an alternative program that includes outdoor education opportunities and mental health support. It's a really cool program, and when I was a journalist at the Georgia Strait, I wrote a story about them and was really kind of moved by their whole model and how they've touched so many kids. So uh, just glad to have a way to kind of highlight them and contribute.
That's
That
very
is
cool. I hadn't heard
fantastic.
about that.
I hadn't either.
Very cool,
That
man.
makes me want to go out and buy the book right now.
There you go.
Excuse me for a moment. I'll be right back.
Be right back. Got to go to your local bookstore.
Mhm.
Excellent. And Stephen, I do love the fact that you're encouraging people that, sure, you can buy it online, but go support the local bookstores. I think that's
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, you people don't realize it, but you can actually buy online from all these local bookstores too.
Mhm.
The valid point. Yeah. Yeah. I know. So, for us up here, one of my favorite places to go is Black Bond Books, which is
Mm,
technically a chain, but it's a small local chain. And
yeah,
I always, it's probably my first stop when it comes to looking for books.
yeah. Black Bond Books is awesome. And what was really cool was with my first book, they actually put it on their delivery truck in the summertime. So like the cover was on this truck
Wow.
driving
Wow.
around. That was so cool.
That would have been super cool. I'm sure you got a few pictures of that.
I actually never saw it myself. People sent pictures for me.
Oh, okay. But you have pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. I just did a geocache not too long ago in front of a used bookstore. Um, and as I'm wandering around the front of the store, it was a multi-step cache. Um, the gal from the inside comes out and says, "Are you looking for something?" Well, actually, I'm geocaching. It's inside. Come on. Oh, and it's funny. I'd missed all the clues, and when she opened the door, I walked in, and now I was like, I still don't. I can't figure out the clues of where I'm going. That's because the clue was on the door to of where to go. Oh, and once I figured that out, I was like, "Oh, there's the geocache. That was easy." But I got to wander around the store, and I'm like, "This is fantastic." She goes,
Yeah.
"Just call us up, send us an email. We'll mail out books to you." Like, okay, this is what I'm doing.
Nice. That's awesome.
So, Stephen, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We hoped you enjoyed this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Absolutely. We did. We're delighted to have Stephen back and hear about the new book, and can't wait to flip a copy open myself and see how I can get myself out of my COVID condition and back into hiking condition using the Stephen's a new book to scale myself back up to where I'm supposed to be.
Well, thanks a lot for having me. It's always a lot of fun being on this show. So
Thanks for your support of the podcast as well, Stephen.
Mhm.
Appreciate having you as an avid listener. Folks, we want to take a moment also to thank Land Sharks and Gold Country Geotourism, our corporate Denali level sponsors. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online. They're shipping those online orders daily. And of course, Gold Country, blah, blah, Gold Country Geotours, the geotourism. I'm lost. All right.
It's easy for you to say.
No, apparently it's not. For absolutely amazing geocaching adventures, check out exploregoldcountry.com. And folks, we want to thank all of our faithful Denali level supporters. It's Land Sharks, Gold Country Geo Tour, Team Squirrel, Groovy Owl, and Cachly, the geocaching app. If you want to know more about supporting this show, well, head on over and click that Patreon link on thecachingnw.com, a website.
Like Team Noltex did.
And Seabeck Tribe.
And M-Nerve.
And Terrible Lunch, but great geocacher, Gas Station Tuna.
MC, 3 Cats.
Al Robrick.
Genies.
On a Boot.
How about Boomer, 365?
How about GSM ×2?
Shrek Zer.
The Geo Travelers.
Logwork.
Always on a train or on a plane or heading
With
to
a
Spain
fox.
in the rain. It's Keats 94.
And CRS 98.
And mentioned earlier in the podcast, Subway Mark.
And Dora Moore. Brings up good
Untias.
questions.
Asking good
Flagman.
questions. Yeah. Flagman. I keep forgetting that's in there. That is a that is one of our patrons because I'm not used to that name, so that throws me off. Like, where did that one come from? Did you slip one in? All right, 3 hams and a rose.
Wet Coaster.
Oh, Broncos fan for life.
Ari, 54321.
Farrowwood West.
Kennel Barb.
Tick Maganet.
Donners.
Skyhawker.
Kid Vegas 19.
Just finding our way.
Geo Navpro.
Kitty Quest.
B Pendragon.
Kev MacD.
Sprouter.
Green Words.
Hey, you, Dak. You, Dak.
And the submitter of our glow this episode, Limax.
How about you talks to rocks?
How about Eckerdock?
Peach of Washington.
At least today of Washington.
She actually is in Washington. She said earlier.
There you go. Sege Hove.
Korsgat.
Wino Seattle.
Camp Clan.
And we will finish with our favorite kitchen appliance, the LG 9000.
Ah, so very nice. Now,
Listeners,
once again,
oh, yep, sorry.
Stephen, if listeners want to get a hold of you, where should they go?
105hikes.com.
Just want to make sure you guys remember that. 105hikes.com.
There you go. All right. So Chris, do we want to do your listeners ask some things segment?
Well, maybe we should. This
All right.
one requires a little bit of thinking. Okay.
Oh,
So,
well, then
first
I'm
of all,
out.
Let's tell the listeners what LAST stands for. LAST is listeners ask some things, and now we get to answer. So if you'd like to ask some things, you can call into 253-693-TFTC or email your question to feedback@cachingnw.com. Now, my question this evening is, what is something that you can do today that you never thought would happen 20 years ago? Right?
Geocaching with a phone.
Exactly. There you go. Or how about, placing video calls? That
Yeah.
really wasn't a thing 20 years ago. Especially on like a Dick Tracy watch, right?
Yeah. Dick Tracy watch. No kidding, eh? Yeah.
They still don't have smellophones though. You can't, smell things through a phone.
And that's probably good, actually.
yeah,
Smell-o-phones,
Or
like smell-o-vision.
smell-o-vision.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Of
don't know.
course.
Some of those baking shows I think would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but a lot of the nature shows wouldn't.
That's right. There's a lot of shows I wouldn't want to smell.
This week, we're going to visit the barn. No! Change the channel.
Well, you'd have the
Let me open
ability
the
to.
window.
You could mute smells.
Yeah, there you
There you
go.
How about
would
GSM
be-
times 2, starting a car without an ignition key?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one still throws me off.
Or asking your smart device to start your car for you?
Yep.
How weird is that?
What Coaster has one, similar to what you were mentioning earlier, Chris. Sitting in my house in the Lower Mainland and working on a project in Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah, remote working, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid reading Popular Mechanics, and weren't they saying by now we'd have like, a 15-hour work week because we would be so productive because of everything, all the aids helping us, right? And no, they decided, well, maybe a 60-hour work week is better. And we still want you to be as that, that level of productivity. We just want more hours of it.
Yes. The robots are here, but they're actually here to be our overlords, not to do the work for us.
Did I say overlord? I meant protector,
Yeah, exactly.
just in case the robots are listening.
Yeah, which they are.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Yeah,
How
how about talking to your phone and having it send a text?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
just
that's a
talking
good
to
one.
your phone and having it do things? Yeah.
What else have we got here? GSM times 2 is paying around $6 per gallon for
Oh,
gas.
man.
Yeah. Wasn't expecting that. Komakino is he's waiting for Space 1999 to happen. Just saying.
Well, you just have to be on the moon, Komakino, and wait for it to spin out of orbit.
There you go. Man, I remember that show from being a kid.
How about just Carlo being on a live chat on a geocaching YouTube podcast? What is even a podcast 20 years ago?
Fair enough.
There you go. Oh, Brian Lang says, I, for one, welcome our new AI overlords.
Well played. Well played.
And he has to say that because they're listening.
They
Yeah.
are.
Suck up.
I don't know if he welcomes them or he fears them.
Yes, I like
feels
Dora
it.
Moore's, which is related to what Brian was just saying, I think. It's asking questions out loud and having a little box on the kitchen counter give you an answer.
We use that all the time for weather, for,
Yeah.
hey, how do you, it'll tell you. White Coaster wants to know where his hover bike is or hoverboard and the
Yes.
self-tying shoes that go with them.
Yeah.
It is pretty disappointing that what they're calling a hoverboard doesn't hover.
No, I
No.
know, right? It's like kind of a rip job.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Bad marketing.
they're playing on another name and hoping that you'll just ignore that part of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That it doesn't hover. Having a conversation, mentioning a topic, and have Siri give me background information.
Like when we're on the podcast and we say, hey, Google, what's the weather tomorrow? Because people love it when I do that.
Yeah, they do. Or Alexa.
Yeah.
Hey, Alexa, play Caching in the Northwest podcast.
Ooh, there's a little inception there. I like it.
Okay. So there you go. Some things that 20 years ago you never even considered was an option. And here we are today.
Here we are.
So, folks, thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, click the Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website. If you didn't like the show, let us know what you want us to talk about. In either case, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Subscribe and give us a review, even a thumbs up. Call in to 253-693-TFTC and leave a comment, ask a question, or share your favorite hike with us any time of the day or night. And of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingNW.com. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and chat. Yeah. It answered, gave the weather. Next time you have
You're
to listen
welcome,
on
Starcacher.
Yeah. This show's produced by Chris Umpenauer, Jim Paulwitz, and Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2022 by Chris Umpenauer. And folks, I ask you to stay tuned for
The After Show.
Is that all the Jim we're going to get tonight?
That's all the Jim we're going to get tonight.
Oh.
Dang. I assume that was directed at
Blast
either me
you.
or you. Oh, too funny.
Oh,
All right, what do we
you
got?
know,
Oh, go
we
ahead.
have incredible power, but we don't use it often.
No, and we don't use
And
it
never
wisely
forget.
either. What else have we got in
Oh,
here?
we do have some Patas items.
We do have some Patas. We got one from GSM times 2. Oh, no, you're going to grab Keats? Okay.
Mhm.
We'll start with Keats. Keats says he's bound for Kamloops by train tomorrow. If the trip is going to go anything like the last one, I'll be singing the freight train blues, as Bob Dylan once put it. Keats, we hope for a much more successful train ride than your last one. But Kamloops is a beautiful place to visit this time of year. And you'll make it there for Pickle Fest. I believe Pickle Fest is
Oh.
still going on. So check
That
it
sounds
out.
very genuine.
Yummy.
Now, didn't the Monkees sing the last train to Kamloops?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll see you in the morning.
GSM times 2 says on Sunday, there are two of us doing Los Padres Three Peaks Adventure. There's a link to it there. It's an AL that takes us to Three Peaks on a 10-mile hike. Sketchy data connection.
Oh,
If there's anybody who can do an AL, an adventure lab on a sketchy data connection,
it would be GSM
GSM
times 2.
times 2.
Yeah, indeed. Oh yeah. So I guess he was GSM times 2 was asked about how he'll manage that, and of course he reminded everybody that he has the Google Doc article with the Bitly link there, and that they're bringing multiple phones, 3 power packs. So there you go. Good planning for sure.
Nice.
There was another one from Komikino when we were talking
This one?
about when we were talking about
Revisions are
revisions
okay?
with your editors.
Yep.
So
He's
Stephen
currently
Komikino,
revising the comic book for the 10th time.
10th time.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, a lot of it is just trying to get it to fit on the page right, I believe.
wow.
Which I'm sorry, Komikino.
Yeah, I appreciate all the effort that's going into that.
Mhm.
Stephen, are you familiar with that project that Komikino is talking about?
No. Tell me about it.
So he is working with Joshua Johnson, the geocaching vlogger, and they're putting together it's a comic book, but it also has activities in it as you go through, and it tells a whole story about going on a geocaching adventure, I think around the world, if I remember the plot correctly, but a huge geocaching adventure, and it's in comic book format, and including a bunch of unique characters. And it's a really neat project, and Komikino is a very gifted artist. So what we've seen of it so far is very exciting.
Oh, very
See if
cool. Definitely have to check that out.
Yeah. So what do you think? The fourth book no, fifth, because you're working on your fourth. The fifth book you author going to be comic book format?
No, the closest they'll get to comic book format is using that iPhone filter on the cover, and here's what it looks like. It does look cool though.
Fair enough. That's good stuff. Chris, do we have anything else?
I was looking for the cover. Here it is, The Greatest Treasure.
Ah,
I'm working on it.
No
And
rush,
now I have
Chris.
to share it. And no pressure.
It's gonna get a few
There.
more revisions done while you're.
there
Yeah,
you go.
exactly.
There we go. There's the
There you go.
cover. Very good.
Blogger.
So nothing like a quick Google search to come up with exactly.
And Just Carlo's asking Komakino. Hopefully, they'll see printed copies by GeoWoodstock. I'm certain that's amongst the goals.
Yes.
And Komakino adds, "There's even a monkey." So there you go.
A monkey. I guess
Oh.
there was a monkey in there.
There you go. Just Carlo says, or sorry, Komakino says to Just Carlo, the revision he's working on now should be the last one. Just typos and grammatical stuff. There you go.
Oh, good. So no more formatting.
Yes.
Whew.
And GSM times 2 is very supportive of your working on it audio version of the podcast.
Hold on there. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, for the audio version, I showed a picture of the cover of the comic book. There you go. Just in case, that's all the description you're getting.
Perfect. All right. Well, why don't we wrap it up there, Stephen? Again, thank you so much. Folks, remember it's 105hikes.com. I got that right, didn't I? 105
Oh, yeah.
hikes. Okay, perfect. Go check that out. Support Stephen's work and enjoy some trails.
That's right. And until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.